on the YouTube channel, and then I'm admitting more people because they like to hop on late. It's okay. It's okay. We love you guys. We love you guys. And like I said, if you're brand new, let us know. Drop an emoji down in the chat. We'd love to say hey. Again, for your teams that miss this, we do broadcast it live on our Team Thrive Army YouTube channel, which means it'll also be ready to go later as well for people who want to replay it. Okay, so today we are really diving into the book that I introduced last week. So for those of you guys who were not a part of the Zoom last week, we did discuss a little bit about kind of leadership in general and how we need to kind of cultivate that buy-in. We talked about the different levels, right? And how to go from level, 1, 2, and 3 into level 3 and 4, things like that. And so for those of you guys who are brand new, we are working from this book right here by John C. Maxwell. It is the 5 levels of leadership. Okay, so the 5 levels of leadership. And this is the perfect book that we segued from the 21 Laws of Leadership. And for those of you guys who have started it already, you know that he does talk quite frequently about the 21 laws in here. And so it really ties in nicely. Before we go ahead and fully get started, I'm going to do what I always do and take a boomerang of all of your lovely faces. So if your camera is on, go ahead and smile, say cheese, look real pretty. Perfect. Okay. And now we can go ahead and fully get started. Oh, adding more peeps. Again, if you're new, feel free to share this out to your teams. We do this every Sunday at this same exact time. So feel free to share this. So we are learning about the 5 levels of leadership, and we're going to get started on level 1. So I'm going to go ahead and skip through a lot of the beginning portions of this because it's what they have you do is he has you do a self-assessment, and then he also asks you to have your team or like some of your close confidants assess you as well, because your capability is probably somewhere in the middle. So you may over or underestimate yourself or your abilities as a leader. And then other people as well may over or underestimate. And so you kind of get a good average. Is it super accurate? No, but it's probably a little bit more accurate than you just having your own data points, than you just rating yourself solely and entirely. So I'm going to be going ahead and starting with level 1. So level 1 is positional leadership. Sorry, I'm going to kind of be a little bit distracted with admitting people into the waiting room, but I'll try to not appear so distracted all the time. So we are starting on level 1, which is positional leadership. Okay. And like we talked about, there are 5. So for those of you guys who are note takers, I'll give you the 5 levels if you didn't take notes last week or you weren't here or part of it last week. So level 1, and I want you to almost kind of think of it as ascending. So level 1 is position. Level 2 is permission. Level 3 is production. Level 4 is people development. And then number 5 is the pinnacle. So we are starting right at the very beginning, right at the bottom, which is positional leadership. So in this book, he kind of talks a little bit about the upside of this position, the downside, and then really how to kind of play into both the strengths and the supposed weaknesses of this particular level. And so I'll just kind of go through some of these points quickly, so we're not really spending a little bit too much time in there. But number 1 is a leadership position is usually given to people because they have leadership potential. Okay, so here's a kind of like a newsflash for all of us in here. It doesn't matter what rank you are a leader because you stepped into this to build a team, to show up, to enroll people, and to lead them to do great things too. Whether you only want to enroll 1, 4, or 4,000, it doesn't matter. You are a leader. And so inherently you have a position of leadership. And so you need to kind of give it the respect it deserves. And you'll come to learn that in level 1, the way that other people respond to you as a level 1 leadership may be a little bit different because I don't know how many of you have ever had kind of a 9 to 5, right? Where you answered to a boss and you may or may not have felt that that boss was qualified to have their position, right? But you had to answer to them anyway. It's because they had a position of leadership. They told you what to do, when to show up, what to do, how to do it. And it's just you listen to them, not because you maybe respected them and loved who they were and had the choice to follow them, but because you were told to, right? You're like, this is your boss. Do what they say. That is positional leadership. That is you doing what they say because they said it, not because you wanted to, because you respected what they were asking you to do. Okay, they just told you to do it. Sorry, my pages were stuck together. All right, 2 is a leadership position means authority is recognized, okay? So people are like, oh, that's my leader, that's my upline, right? That's kind of what it looks like here. Oh, so-and-so is my upline. So first of all, like you have to be present enough for people to know that you exist in that capacity. Okay. I have met some people who didn't even know that they had an upline or what an upline was or who they were or whatever. And so a leadership position means authority is recognized. Number 3 is a leadership position is an invitation to grow as a leader. So it's like your foot in the door. So you have a position. All of us have this position of leadership, whether we feel like leaders or not. That's not the point. The point is not that you feel like a leader or that you are in what you believe to be a leadership position. So I don't know. We have a bunch of people from different teams. So I don't know if your team considers a specific rank a leader position. I don't know if it's 200K, 80K, 12K. I don't know what it is for you guys. Maybe it's none. Maybe everyone is called a leader. I don't know. So my thing here is I kind of consider it like everybody is a leader because the first person you have to lead is yourself. And leadership is something you kind of have to learn from day one. And I want you to kind of think of it like this is an invitation to grow as a leader. You may not have the leader you want. You probably don't even have the leader you deserve. That's kind of the case that's like most of our cases, right? Is you probably are not blessed to have a leader you deserve because we're all human. Chances are you deserve a much better leader because, again, so be the leader that you deserve. And you'll find yourself inevitably growing closer to that vision of what you believe a great leader to be. So don't use your upline as like the benchmark. Don't use their uplines up, right? Don't even pick somebody else. If you want to use somebody else as a model, go ahead. But use as your benchmark, use the leader that you wish you had, or the leader you want to, the leader that like you wish was above you or was pouring into you or whatever the case may be that leader, make that your benchmark. Okay, not somebody else, not your upline, not me, not Alicia, not Danny, not anyone like that, okay? So use yourself as the benchmark, just the version of yourself that you wish you had working with you. Number 4 is a leadership position allows potential leaders to shape and define who they are as leaders. The beauty about stepping into this brand new is you get to shape the kind of leader you want to show up as, which is why it's so crucial to do this from day one. So many of us come in here as day one leaders and just kind of like your reputation, everything is being shaped for you, whether you are doing it intentionally or not. You are becoming the leader you are, whether you are intentionally becoming the leader you want to be or not. That's the kind of leader you're becoming. So if you're lazy as a promoter, you're going to be a lazy leader. If you're an inconsistent promoter, you're going to be an inconsistent leader, right? Your reputation, your character, your everything is shaped for you no matter what. So the way I look at it is, how about you shape it intentionally? How about you shape it into something that you want? Because it's being determined for you. Or you can determine it, your choice. I look at it like I would like to be in control of that, please. I don't want it to happen by accident. Okay. So you have the ability from day one to shape the kind of leader you want to be. Now, if you're doing it intentionally, that requires a lot of intentional action, that requires a lot of coaching and mentorship, being coachable and teachable. It requires a lot of learning, right? Learners are earners. We hear that all the time. At least my team does. Okay. And it requires like constantly growing, a lot of introspection and a lot of emotional intelligence. A lot of kind of not taking everything personally, not internalizing everything, looking at everything as data that can be skewed, that can be changed, that can be altered, that can grow into something different. Okay. You're not a tree, right? You can move. If you don't like the leader you are now, you can change it. If you don't like your behaviors now, you can change them. If you don't like the results you're getting right now, you can fix it. Okay. So right now is, if you feel like you are strictly in the positional leadership kind of arena, the beauty of this, right? It's the upside, is that you are in a great position to alter it, to change it. You are in a very moldable stage of your leadership journey. As you kind of grow in the different levels, it becomes more and more fixed, but in a very positive way. It becomes more and more fixed because you have to think, as you grow, you have to make sure your foundation upon which you're growing on and building on is really solid. So right now, everything is pretty moldable. So again, what are you doing to mold it? What are you doing to intentionally become the leader that you want to have, that you want to be, right? Do you want people? So, okay, hold on. Do you want to be the leader that your people complain about, like you complain about your upline? Do you want to be that kind of leader, right? We all know that sometimes we'll be like, where are they today? Where are they? What are they doing? What's happening? Like, oh my gosh, they only pop in when they want to say this. Like, right, you complain, you're like, you're venting, you're like, I'm really frustrated with my leader. Well, are you being that leader inadvertently to your people, or do you want to become that kind of leader to your people? Because if you're not building yourself intentionally, that's the kind of leader you will become. Again, right? It's building either way. So it's either being built by accident or being built on purpose. So I would build it on purpose if I were you. All right. And so one of the things that he characterizes, the author John C. Maxwell characterizes as a good leader, especially in this position, because you were starting at the very foundation, is asking yourself, who am I? And he says, in a nutshell, Captain Mike, in his book, It's Your Ship, and this is like a military captain, he says, in a nutshell, hard experience has taught me that real leadership is about understanding yourself first, then using that to create a superb organization. Because a leader who doesn't know who they are cannot bring people where they need to be. So if I ask you what your brand pillars are, if I ask you what your moral center is, if I ask you what your why is, and you stutter, you stop, you think, you have to lament on it, you don't know who you are enough yet. And that may be the root of really kind of why you may be struggling. Because a leader who is really self-assured in who they are, in their vision and their mission and why they're doing what they're doing, can bring people to where they need to go. If you are unsure of what you bring to the table, you're unsure of just kind of who you are and maybe even where you're going, maybe you don't even know your why, maybe you're like really unsure of it, then you surely cannot lead other people to their why if you don't even know your own, right? And then it says, what are my values? You kind of have to know exactly what those are, because those are your pillars that keep you grounded. That is your foundation. If you don't really know what they are and you can't name them, then you are really wishy-washy. Then you are the type of person who, as soon as someone comes at you with a different opinion, you're like, yeah, well, I guess maybe that's right. No. A leader is steadfast and firm. A leader, I want you to almost think of it like back in medieval times, right? Like castles and gates and moats and all these things. Like, you're the leader, you're the person standing there, standing guard, like letting people in and out, protecting the kingdom. And if someone was like, let me in, and you're like, well, what's your reason? And they're like, I don't know, I just want to come in. You're like, well, I guess that's a good reason, I guess. Right? You're just, no. Like, you need to be firm and stand your ground. And you can only do that when you really know what your values are. And he gives 3 examples here. Your ethical values. So what does it mean to do the right thing for the right reason? Relational values. How do you build an environment of trust and respect with others? And then success values. What goals are worth spending your life on? Because a lot of times, a lot of us spend our time on the wrong things. We invest our energy into the wrong people. And a lot of that is energy and time that is wasted. So if you really truly know what your relational values are, your ethical values are, your success values are, you don't compromise on them. And a lot of that may look less shiny and less glamorous, and you may not grow as quickly or as bright as other people. But I can tell you this, when you do it properly and you take the time to pour a solid foundation, the team you can grow from that is way better. It is so much more solid. And here he talks about, says, not that long ago, I came across a survey by Opinion Research Corporation that American workers were asked to select the one trait that was most important to them in a leader. What do you guys think some of them were? Like, take a guess. What do you think some of the most important traits Americans thought a leader needed to have? You can go ahead and you can drop it in the chat. Honesty, listening, communication skills, yeah, effective listening, strength, confidence. I like saying it's consistency, absolutely. Leading by example, empathy, communication, alpha mindset. Yes, I love a lot of these guys. Ambition. So I think it was back here. I think it was Athena who said leading by example, and ding, 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 that was the winner. Most Americans polled and they said they want a leader that leads by example. And you know what that tells me is that they value integrity. A leader does what a leader says. That's leading by example. If I say to do something, you know damn well I'm doing it. If I'm preaching PPA, I'm working on my PPA. If I'm preaching minis, I'm doing minis. If I'm preaching locals, I'm doing locals, right? We're getting the drift here, right? Like leading by example, do the do, right? Mari says all the time, do the do to get the get. You want to make sure that your leader is doing the things that they say they are, because integrity is first and foremost. I'll let you know the second one was having strong ethics and morals. Number 3 was the knowledge of the business. Being knowledgeable is actually quite important to some people. Why? Because you are a resource. You are a non-renewable resource, so treat yourself accordingly. Okay, you are not a renewable resource. You will eventually burn out and or die. Okay, so you are a non-renewable resource, and those are among the highest valued on the planet. So price yourself accordingly. Right? That's number 1. Number 4 was fairness. Number 5 was overall intelligence and competence. So newsflash, we can all be dipshits from time to time. So yes, I needed that kind of grace. Okay. I needed the kind of grace to occasionally be stupid every once in a while and not have the answer, right? So overall competence and intelligence was not ranked very high. So if you feel like you're not very smart and you're not up to par because you don't know what Garcinia Cambogia is and where it comes from and all this other stuff, good news, it doesn't freaking matter. Okay. Like, it might eventually, like, it might be nice because you're resourceful, like they can go to you and you're knowledgeable, but overall competency and intelligence was ranked among the lowest. And then last was recognition. Surprisingly, people are not as selfish as we expect them to be. Recognition was among the lowest. That one kind of caught me by surprise, I'll admit. Okay. So the next is the downside. We'll talk about the downside of positional leadership, right? So having a leadership position is often misleading. People simply think because they are given a position of leadership that they are inherently a leader. I think we all know this is not the case, right? I think we all know that just because you sign up to be a promoter doesn't mean you are a leader. Doesn't mean you are a good leader. It says leaders are always taking people somewhere. They aren't static. If there is no journey, there is no leadership. If you are not moving, if you are not doing anything, there is nowhere for you to lead people. You can't lead people just standing there, right? How can you tell who the leader is? It's whoever people are looking at. If you put people in a group, who is everyone looking at? That's the leader. So keep that in mind when it says that leaders aren't static, because they're moving. Inherently, the role of leadership is that you are doing something for others to follow. So if you're standing still, if you're not moving, if you're not posting, if you're not growing, if you're not doing things in your business, if you're not doing things every day to grow your business and pour into people and do whatever, then you're not leading. If you are merely existing and collecting a check from people, that's not leadership. That's not true leadership, right? So number two, the downside is leaders who rely on position to lead often devalue people. And I think I see a lot of like nodding heads. So I see a lot of people like, yeah, I have a feeling that you are one of those people that feel devalued, right? People who rely on position for their leadership almost always place a very high value on holding their position, often by everything else that they do, aside from the relationships that they build with people. And we'll get into the other levels of leadership in the coming weeks, but we'll talk about maybe why that is. Because leaders who rely on their title or position to influence others just do not seem to work well with people. These are managers, right? People who tell people what to do. And inherently, based on what we just learned, most people qualify as a good leader. They don't lead by example. They lead by words. Go do this. They're the people who hop in the chat from time to time and they're like, yeah, rah, rah, shish kumbah, let's go do this. Go grab a PPA. Who's going to do whatever? Who's going to get a new customer today? And then they're out. Do they ever have one-to-ones with you? Do they ever call you? Do they ever chat with you? Do they ever shout you out for little things that you do? They send you cards. They say, hey, Christian, I see you showing up. Great job. Hey, Allison, you're kicking ass today. Hey, Chantel, way to show up on your live. I was watching your stuff. Hey, Mikal, how's your baby doing? I saw she was sick the other day. That shit matters, right? So if you're simply relying on your position, you don't think that matters. Because you believe that people should just follow you and do what you say because you're 200K, because you're 80K, because you're 12K, because of whatever, right? I know some not even 4Ks that have that mentality. So, I mean, it doesn't really, there's no rank that's associated with it. But I think that people like that as they ascend in ranks, it only gets worse. All right. So, because like it's like with, there can be good cops and bad cops, but the badges just make the bad cops worse. Okay. So it's the same thing. Like the badges that we get only make bad promoters worse. Right. So, find leaders that you can respect and model yourself after them. They don't necessarily have to be in your direct upline. So then other one is number 3 is positional leaders feed on politics. Again, I see more head nods. They're like, yeah, speaking to my soul woman. I can also see that maybe some of those positional leaders hopped off because we went from 70 to 61 participants. So maybe we lost some of the positional leaders. It was hitting them where it counted. It says positional leaders focus on control instead of contribution. They focus on what they can control and who they can control instead of how they can contribute. Okay, and how they can get others to contribute. They work to gain titles. Oh, I think we know some people like that, right? They work to gain titles. They do what they can to get the largest staff, or in our realm, a team, right? To get the largest team and the biggest allocation of accolades. They chase the accolades, they chase the attaboys, they chase the awards, they chase the shout outs, right? And they leave all the little people, right? Like these are people who use a lot of words like I instead of we. oh, look at what my team did. Look at what I did. Look what I did. I got this rank. I this, I that, right? It's like, so you did $200,000 in volume this month, like just you yourself, and that's it. You did 12,000 in PV, really? Wow, you know. And so it they end up playing this game of politics where it's like it's all about who you know, what you can get, and then what you get out of those titles or what you get out of those accolades, right? So it's like, if I'm this, then oh, Paul and Jason will just think I'm Cat's Meow, or oh, Lindsay Corbett will just like worship my feet, right? Whoever's like way up here that we're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be in with them. Oh yes. No. I'm going to non-verbally, that's not recorded, go like this. Okay, now that we all know that. Okay. Number 4 is positional leaders place rights over responsibilities. And so what that means is they believe that you have to respect them because of their position, right? You have to do what I say because I'm this. I'm a blank. I'm your leader. I am this. Fine. If you don't want to do what I say and blah, 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 right? So it's rights over responsibilities, meaning you have to obey them based on the fact that it's the right of the position rather than the responsibility of their position. So they believe inherently in their position that they have a right to be a boss instead of the responsibility to be a leader. And there's a big difference. Do you look at your leadership as I have a responsibility to uphold here? Or do you look at it like I have a right? I have a right to take today off. I have a right not to be attached to my phone. Look at all that I've done. I have a right not to do this, right? Because of whatever. And some people in their indignance can get that way. I have a right. I shouldn't have to host Zooms. I'm a 200K. I shouldn't have to do this. I'm a whatever. Or do you look at it as a responsibility? Because I'll tell you this, the responsibility only increases with your rank. It doesn't decrease. I think Alicia can give me a hallelujah on that. Like, I don't know if people are kind of like waiting to ascend up here so that they can start doing less. I don't know about you, but I'm waiting for the less part because I'm only finding the more parts, but I'm okay. It's okay because, again, I look at it like a responsibility. It's my responsibility to my team to show up in this way. It's my responsibility to be a resource. As a 200K, it is my responsibility to XYZ. So if you are looking to do less as you gain more, you are already in the wrong mindset, brother or sister or whoever. Okay, so it is a responsibility. So how are you looking at it? Is it that's your right, or is it your responsibility? Because how you view your leadership is very indicative of how you will lead. So how do you view it? Hold on, I'm getting passionate. I need to take some water. Okay. Oh, my page went backwards. All right. Oh, this is another one. These are all just so good. Okay. Number 5 is positional leadership is often lonely. You will find yourself with not many friends. You will find yourself with so many people who just eventually stop liking you because they don't like being devalued. You will eventually find yourself all isolated, people pulling away from you. You will probably, if you're this kind of leader, you will probably blame your team. You will probably blame the people around you. Nobody likes me. It's because they can't hang. They just can't work as hard as me. They just can't do whatever. They can't keep up. Hate is going to hate. Potato is going to potate, whatever, right? Like, no, brother, no, sister, like you just ain't leading. Like people don't want to follow you. So they stopped walking behind you. Like, and because you never looked back to see what they were doing, you just only focused on you. Didn't even know that they left you like 5 miles back. That's how you know you were a shitty leader. Like, that's how you know you're a crappy parent. Is like, you didn't even know that your kids were lost like 6 aisles ago because you're not looking at them, you know? Like, you're like, what? My kids are lost? Yeah, mom, if you were looking at them, you'd know. You know? good moms are like, where are my kids at? Oh, they're right here. That's good. But like, you a crappy mom if like your kids got lost like 6 hours ago. They got lost over in the cucumber section and you're over there looking for toilet paper. And you're like, oh, what? Right? So it's the same as a leader. You didn't know that your team left you 5 miles ago because you weren't checking on them. How often do you check in with your team? How often do you say, hey, how are you doing? Hey, I saw you didn't rank last month. Man, let's fix that. Hey, I see that you're not posting as much. Is everything okay? Hey, how are you doing? Hey, what's right? Like, check on them. Check on them. If you're not looking back and like, hey, everybody, how you doing? Okay, we're good. All right, let's keep going. Hey, anyone need a drink of water? No? All right, let's keep hiking, right? Like, it's lonely because you've been walking all by yourself because you ain't checking on nobody and they left. That's what's going to happen. And then you're just going to be like, wow, these slow mother effers, they can't keep up with me. No, they left. No, they walked away, okay? They gone on a completely different path. You don't even know where you're going. They're Courtney only brought water like the rest of us brought alcohol. You know, I mean, priorities. All right, number 6 is leaders who remain positional get branded and stranded. You get branded as that kind of leader, it is so hard to come back from that. It is so hard to, okay, anyone who has an app or who had an absent parent, it is hard to come back from that. If you had a parent that left you at an early age and all of a sudden wants to come back in the picture, are you just going to be like, hi, dad. Hi, mom. Hi. No. You're going to be like, I'm sorry, who? Huh? What? Like, no. It's the same thing as a leader. If you're this kind of leader, you get branded and stranded. You get branded as a shitty leader and you get left the hell alone. I'm not saying that if you're that kind of leader, it's impossible to come back from, but it is harder. So, and a lot of people are lazy and entitled, especially if they're this kind of leader. They are lazy and entitled, and they're not going to do the people work necessary to mend those relationships. We'll move on. Onward. Oh, man, these hits keep coming. Okay. Turnover for positional leaders is very high. You wonder why. When you are not a good people person and people leave you, speaks for itself. Okay. Don't be this kind of person, because we talked last week about how, and for those of you guys who weren't here, we kind of did this graph about effort, right? We did the one where it's like how much effort and how much money you make. And it was like the people who are in levels 1, 2, and 3 have high effort and low return, or even if they have high return on their money end, their effort is always high. And I don't know about you guys, but I joined this to eventually have some time freedom. You know, and so if your effort is always way up here, you will never find that. If you are always constantly having to re-enroll people because people keep leaving and you can't seem to find leaders that you can depend on, and it's like turnover is constant, like we know we always want to be enrolling new, we get that. But you're gonna get burnt out if you're building to 80K and then all of a sudden like everybody leaves. And you feel like you're building from scratch, or you were at 12K and everyone left and now you're building again. And like, for you guys get it, right? So it might be that you are relying solely on your position rather than leaning into a lot of the other leadership things that we'll talk about in coming weeks. So you don't have that high turnover, because that is exhausting. That leads to burnout that nobody wants. Number 8 is positional leaders receive people's least, not their best. Positional leaders are only given what people have to spare, not their best. You will get people who will give you the leftovers of their time, who will give you the leftovers of their effort, and you wonder why you're not getting anywhere. These are people who are like what they call them clock watchers, like the people who like waste time at the water cooler and like wait for like 4:59 and they're like, come on, I want to go, right? They like do the bare minimum. You're like, okay, just do like 5 RCMs and like, get on the Zoom or whatever. And they're like, okay, did it. It's like the bare minimum. I did it. I'm done. It's like, but you have plenty of time and energy to do other things. Nope, I did what you told me. I'm done. Right? I know that when I talk to a lot of my leaders, I know when I ask them to do things, it is almost always above and beyond. And I know that they will follow through. What I ask them to do a lot of times is not easy. It is time consuming, it is difficult, it is frustrating, and they do it because they're fan-freaking-tastic. So they do not just do the bare minimum. But there are people who will do that. There are people who have leaders, right, who have teams that will just do the bare minimum. These people are constantly leaving. It says the success demands more than most people are willing to offer, but not more than they are capable of giving. The thing that often makes the difference is good leadership. So keep that in mind, is that success demands more than most people are just willing to offer, not more than what they are capable of offering. So leadership is a choice. Good leadership and showing up and giving a flying F is a choice. Not because I'm just not a good leader. That is not an excuse. Like, stop with that. You come up in here with me about, I'm just not a good leader. No, you choose it not to be because you don't want to be because it's hard, right? Like that Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility. Right? Most people just don't want it. They're like, oh, I don't want it. Not me. She wants it though. Right? It's like the women that like catching the bouquet. The eternally single woman wants to be like, like, nah, sis, not today. They don't want to catch that bouquet, right? So it's like, that's what some leaders do. They think they can skirt by and get the success they want without leading. And don't be like fooled, because some people will rise to the levels that they need to through certain things, like through their efforts, through their own personal efforts, but they cannot stay there. You can get where you want to go on your personal efforts and your production, but you cannot stay there because it is not sustainable. It is like you cannot tread water forever. You cannot. You need some support. You need something to take a break. And that is like what building layered leadership is all about. Okay. Because that's what a lot of people will do, is they're like, look at me. I'm so good. I'm so good. Right. Because they're like, they're treading water. And it's like, eventually you're going to get tired. So you can get where you need to go on your own efforts or on the minimal efforts of your team. You can, if you get enough people giving you their very least, you can add that all up to get what you want, but you can't stay there. Because again, high turnover, and then you're having to show up even more to replace them to get where you were, and then you get burnt out from having to show up and you don't like that, and it's like this constant cycle. So, and there's a lot more in here. I'll let you guys kind of dig more into this level 1, because he goes a lot into the best behaviors on level 1, like ways that you can kind of elevate yourself from a level 1 to a level 2. He also talks about the laws of leadership. So we talked about the 21 laws. He does talk about the laws that relate to it a lot. And then how to use, what beliefs to really attach to move up into level 2. There's only 4 of them, so I'll list those ones really quick before we wrap up. Beliefs that help a leader move up to level 2 is that titles aren't enough. So stop relying on titles, and stop, for us, I guess it would be more so like stop looking to badges. Stop looking at badges as people to model yourself after and as things to pursue. Stop looking at, when I'm a 200K, oh, this, or, oh, I'm going to do this when I'm a 200K. No, you can do all that now. You can lead all the Zooms now. You can teach all the people now. You can do all those things that you want to do now. Okay. You don't need a badge. You don't need a rank. You don't need permission. You don't need your upline to say, yeah, you can go ahead. No, you do it. You just do it. Okay. Don't chase a badge or a rank or a title. Don't do that. Don't. Because when you chase just good leadership, you will naturally move up where you need to be. So chase good leadership. Don't chase a badge. 2, people, not position, are leaders and are the most valuable asset. Reset. Why did I say reset? I don't even know. Too much talking. People, not position, are a leader's most valuable asset. Your position is not your greatest asset, right? So the fact that I'm 200K, I'm like, oh, no. My badge don't do nothing for me. You want to know how much free stuff it's gotten me? Nothing. You want to know how much stuff I've gotten for nothing. You want to know I can go to McDonald's and cash it in and get free fries. Okay, nothing. It ain't got me nothing. Got no value. It's not even real paper. It's a virtual sticker. Okay, that's pretty much it. People are your best asset. Okay, people are your best asset. So treat them like they are. Treat them like they are your most valuable asset. If you treat them like dirt, that's exactly what you'll get. If you treat them like they're nothing, if you treat them like they're replaceable, that's exactly what they'll become. Replaceable. I'm gonna put out the hot fire flames before they come out. Okay. 3, a leader doesn't need to have all the answers. Stop thinking that you need to know everything. This is why we talk a lot about on my team about creating systems so that you can lean into the systems rather than always having to be the end all be all. So you can always say, you know what, that's a great answer, but I don't know it, but I'll find out for you. Right? We talk about be a resource. You don't have to know everything. People already said they don't give a crap if you know everything. They don't give a crap if you're intelligent. You could have IQ of 70. They wouldn't care. Can you get them where they need to go? Yep, great, awesome, go do it. So a leader doesn't need to have all the answers. And 4, and lastly, a good leader always includes others. Use terms like we. As soon as you start talking in terms of we, you inherently have that different language, shifts how you think about it, shifts how you show up. We are a 200K team. We host this many Zooms a week. We do this. We are killing it, right? Use that language. We talked several weeks back about the tribe mentality and how that works. So always include others. Don't just host the Zooms by yourself because you think I'm the leader, I'm the face of the Zoom. No. I can tell you this too, that a smart leader knows how to create layered leadership and works smarter, not harder. So what I love to do is find what other people are good at and go, I don't know host that. You want to host that Zoom, Abigail? Krista, you want to host that Zoom? You're really good at that. Tracy, she is so good at that. Let her host that Zoom, right? 1, it helps me not to have to do everything, which is okay. 2, it plays into their strengths. 3, it gives them buy-in for the team and it makes them want to show up. They feel valued. So if you're like, hey, Christian, you're so good at this. I would love for you to host a Zoom on that. Like, it looks like you're so good at making cups. Can you talk to us about making cups and how you do that? Oh my gosh, it is so awesome. Right? I don't know if you make cups. If you make cups, hey, but figure out what people are good at. And you also know what? You're never going to know what they're good at unless you know them. I don't even want to tell you how many one-to-one coaching sessions I have scheduled in the next week. I think I have 45. I think that's how many I have. So pray for your sister. She gonna be busy, but I want to know them. I want to know people. I want to know what your goals are. I want to know why you're here. I want to know what you want to accomplish. I want to know how I can help you do that. And I'm not going to know what those are. I'm not going to know what you're good at unless I talk to you. How do I know that Krista is incredible at organizing? How do I know that Tracy is such a good speaker? How do I know that Jordan is super knowledgeable about nutrition? How do I know that Rachel loves talking about mindset? How do I know that Michaela is really good at doing Canva stuff? How do you know? Unless you know your people. When you know your people, the better you get at that, the less work you actually have to do. It's a win-win. It's not how can I work less, but it's how can I lean into people's strengths so that they feel valued? And then inherently, because we're all sharing the burden so to speak together, we're getting so much more done. That is how our team is able to create all of these incredible resources that we have. It's mind-blowing how many we have, but it's because we lean into each other's strengths. And I'm not oh, it's the Courtney show. I'm gonna do it all by myself. No, I don't want to do it all by myself. I don't want to do that. So anyway, I really, really encourage you guys to get this book. I think I found it on Amazon for $14. It can prime it to your house in 2 days. Get it before we do next week. I mean, you don't have to get it. I'm not telling you what to do because I'm not that kind of leader, but I am highly, highly encouraging you to get this book because it's really good. And next Sunday, we will go over level 2. So I don't know if you want to read ahead and go over them, but definitely if you found value in this, Share it with teams. It'll be up on our YouTube page. You can share it later. You can share the link. We do these every Sunday, so you're more than welcome to hop on here, invite your teams and whoever. So thank you guys so much for making time. I know this went, they always go. I don't know why just consider this my apology until the end of time that I'm sorry. They always go over. Okay. Like I'm done apologizing I'm sorry, not sorry. Okay. Like sometimes things just need to be said. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging with me, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow on our Mindset Monday.